From the snow-capped peaks of Cortina to the pulsing heart of Milan, the world has arrived, and the bench is officially empty. Welcome to Olympics from the Bench. Here we go beyond the primetime tape delay and the polished medal counts to bring you the real grit of the Winter Games. We're talking the locker room drama, the underdog heartbreak, and the ice-cold tactical breakdowns that you won't find anywhere else. Whether the return of the pros to the Olympic ice arena or the chaotic debut of ski mountaineering, we're covering every inch of the 2026 Winter Olympic Games with the humanity, curiosity, and the occasional hot take that only ETB can provide you. And now, here's your host, Callan McClurg. Day one officially in the books for the 2026 Milan-Cortina Olympics. Welcome in, everybody, once again to Olympics from the Bench right here on ETB. As always, Callan McClurg joining you here from the home studio in San Diego, California, as we now sit on the precipice of day two and the first weekend of action across the Milan-Cortina Olympic Games over in Italy. As always, folks, we are back once again for night number two, day number one officially in the books of the Winter Olympic Games. We just watched 61,000 people at the San Siro Stadium scream for Team USA, while Mariah Carey hit notes that probably could have shattered the ice in Bormio. But beyond the glitter and the dual cauldrons, we've got two hockey teams now stuck in quarantine because of norovirus. A USA 17-year-old snowboarder in a final and a figure skating team lead that's currently keeping the U.S. at the top of the mountain as we get through day number one. With that, though, folks, as a quick reminder, you can follow the network, as always, on social media, on Twitter, IG, and TikTok, all that ETB Network. And, of course, follow us, too, and subscribe to us over at youtube.com/ETB Network. And we're here for the next 30 minutes to recap what was day one, look back at opening ceremonies and some other early events that have, in fact, gone final, and we preview as well, give you a preview of day number three. Or day two, I should say, officially day two on Saturday. Let's, though, folks, open up, though, about the opening ceremonies today on this Friday. A unprecedented four-site dual cauldron ceremony. The main hub, though, was the San Siro Stadium, but the satellite celebrations happened both, too, in three other cities, including in Cortina Livigno and also in Predazzo as well. The two cauldrons were lit, one in Milan's Arco della Pace and also one on top of the Dolomites Mountains to honor the split nature of both these games, with once more it being a Milan-Cortina hosted event. Of course, Team USA, 232 athletes leading Team USA, led out today by their flag bearer, speed skating favorite Aaron Jackson, and bobsledder Sergeant Frank Del Duca, leading the largest contingent of athletes for Team USA. But also because of the travel distance, athletes from the first five nations, including Greece, did not show up to the stadium in Milan, and they marched through the mountains while silver-clad volunteers carried their signs into San Siro Stadium. Obviously, folks, the Olympic opening ceremony is all about pageantry, culture, and about where, in fact, the games are at. Now, I know now Nick Morganson and I were talking before he came on the air today. Nick said he kind of got partially through the ceremonies today, either in prime time or live this morning, or earlier on Friday, and I would love to hear if anyone out there watched as well. And I know that a lot of times, though, at the opening ceremony gets pretty critiqued heavily, and I know that kind of happened last Olympics in Paris, when it was more about the French history of the wars, and about Lady Antoinette and how she carried herself. Though that came under massive fire. This year, I thought, though, it was a little bit too long for my liking a little bit. But again, this is basically, as much as people want to criticize what's going to happen on Sunday in Santa Clara at halftime of that game in Santa Clara, the opening and closing ceremonies, folks, for the Olympics, it's a massive scale, but also in a way, it's supposed to portray or give homage to the host nation's culture. We saw that a lot, though, with how the Italians did it, though, at the stadium. Even again, I thought it was cool, though, splitting up the delegations going either in the mountaintops up in Cortina or through the villages of the other two cities or going into San Siro Stadium, which I thought was very, very, different and cool, though. Obviously, Mariah Carey had performed. Andrea Bocelli, phenomenal performance, though. Very, I think, though, folks, a bit surprising in a way. The applause, the applause, though, I think a lot of people probably were wondering how will Team USA, in a way, be viewed in the eyes of the rest of the globe because of what has gone on here at home stateside. But again, thunderous cheers for Team USA. Little surprised, though, about the spattering of booing towards the Israeli national team. Obviously, we know about what's gone on with that issue. And also I thought, though, very, very awesome to see the Ukrainian team standing ovation, thunderous applause for what they have gone through with their delegation as well. But I did think, though, a little bit extra, maybe a little too long, perhaps, though, with how the ceremonies went, though, but still always, I think, though, epic. Very much captivating, kind of tugs at your heartstrings when you see the torch get lit, though. And I get to, in a way, if you're, if you weren't alive, though, in like, say, 84 in Los Angeles or even 02 in Salt Lake City, to see that, though, on TV was cool. And again, good luck to all the athletes who are, in fact, competing. Again, I thought, though, it was still great, though, just a little bit. The runtime, though, just so long, though. Again, you got Terry Gannon, Shaun White, and Mary Carrillo trying to fill all that dead time in some way, though. Snoop Dogg made his appearance, though, as well with Team USA in the Village. We also heard from, I believe, from Tina Dixon, who was also around there, also getting some reaction from Team USA. Our silver medal story, though, folks, takes us to figure skating. The team event took place today with Team USA taking the early lead over both Japan and Italy, thanks part to Madison Chalk and Evan Bates. 91.06 in rhythm dance earlier on Friday, a world best, while fellow American 20-year-old competitor Elisa Liu took home second place in the opening round behind, of course, Japan's Karori Sakamoto, who is right now in first place, while Ellie Kim and Danny O'Shea came in fifth. Enough, though, to keep the USA's cushion intact, though. This, I think, though, is probably the one event that you probably will watch closely because I think, though, winter sports, I think, for the American side, though, is basically kind of up in the air because we're so good, we being, Team USA. But I really think, though, that we probably, in a way, look, though, at figure skating as being like maybe the marquee Team USA event. And I think that with where we've kind of gone right now, past Nathan Chen, kind of past some of the old guard in a way, that we're kind of looking for that next big USA star, men's, women's, pairs, dance, you name it. So I think, though, that Chalk and Bates, I think they had a great performance, though, what I was able to watch. Again, jumping around from all the other events today. I did love, though, Elisa Liu's performance today, but her and Sakamoto are going to probably be going 1 and 2 all the way to the very end, though, of that program in the shorts. And then in the pairs, though, Ellie Kim and Danny O'Shea, fifth place, big deal. But still, though, the point totals, though, going towards Team USA to keep them afloat. 2-point lead right now over Japan, 3-point lead over Italy. We'll actually talk more about figure skating coming up in our From the Chalkboard segment, where we talk about a bit deeper in depth regarding the events of this year's Winter Olympics. Bronze medal story is over in doubles curling and the Snoop factor, with Snoop Dogg sitting alongside Corey Dropkin's mom during the Canadian win today. Great Britain, by the way, of their duo pair is the currently other unbeaten team at 5-0. Team USA, by the way, 4-0. They beat Canada 7-5 and also then topped Czechia 8-1 as well. So curling so far off to a hot start, though, for Team USA after the performance on day 0. Now the performance here on day 1. And right now chasing down the Czechs, who are right now chasing down the Great Britain, I should say. They are currently 5-0. Team USA 4-0, so really literally one game behind. And that could set up for some big crescendo moment in some capacity for Team USA versus Canada, and or for that matter, for Great Britain, I should say, against Team USA. That could be for something. I don't know if that's going to be for bracket play, if that could be for maybe for a medal down the road, though. But so far, though, good start for Team USA mixed doubles and curling. 4-0 again, beating Canada earlier on Friday 7-5, and then toppling the Czechs 8-1. With that, though, speaking of figure skating, again, we're going to go back, folks, to the chalkboard here. We're trying our best to kind of further give more insight. I wouldn't say even educate, but more so talk in depth about the games, how they work, some of the events. And today we're going to be talking about the figure skating team chess match and the absolute vibe of the whole thing. So let's kind of, in a way, use today as an example. So we saw that Madison Chalk and Evan Bates got 91 and we all think game over. But in the figure skating team event, that's 91, or that 91 is simply a ticket to 10 points. If the Japanese team, by the way, scores 85, they still get 9 points. So in the format, a blowout win doesn't help you more than a narrow one. It's all about your rank within the discipline. So we're not talking about skating against the ice, but you're also skating to bury the other 4 contenders in the standings. Now, also, we had the halfway cut drama as well on day one. Today was the first half, rhythm dance, pair shorts, and women's short. Here's the brutal part about this. The whole field is going to be going up in flames. We started with 10 countries, but only the top 5 move on to the free skate round. So for Team USA at 25 points, that isn't just about first place, but a massive cushion. So Team USA, for example, does not have to overwork their star talent before the individual events do begin. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting because now there's a thing called the swap. Each country is allowed to swap 2 skaters, up to 2 of them, or teams between the short and long programs. And simple reason is one word. It's rest. Ilya Malilin and Alyssa Liu have both have individual gold medals to hunt. If the USA builds a big enough lead, the committee might pull them from the free skate and sub in someone else, for example, to basically take their place. So kind of in a roundabout way, you get a big enough lead. Nick will like this pun. You can literally empty the bench to get other people involved in the events if you have a big enough lead, as Team USA right now kind of does. So more of a high-stakes game of rest versus reps. You want the team gold, but you don't want to burn out your thoroughbreds, though, before the solo races and events even start. So that's kind of where things stand with where day one was at, though. Again, I know even for me, it's like very confusing because I think we get so entrenched on the whole dynamic of individual talent for figure skating. Team event, awesome. But I think, though, just a little weird, though, about how it plays out, though. It still is a team event, though, with like 3 individual sections broken off from the main umbrella, essentially. So if Team USA keeps building on this lead, you can, again, literally empty the bench to bring in other talent off the, basically, again, onto your team so you don't burn out your lead horses, again, who are going for gold, though, in the individual events. Going now, folks, to our performance of the night. We just talked about them a little bit earlier, but Madison Chalk and Evan Bates getting a 91.06 to take over first place in the figure skating team match as well today. Unbelievable. I mean, they delivered a ultimate runway walk on ice. They broke 90 points. And by the way, their medley was Lenny Kravitz tonight. I thought that was very, very cool. They did that as well. But that event, though, was really fun with how all the competitors had gone, though. Japan, by the way, that was a great dance by their pairs today as well, early on Friday. Phenomenal stuff there. But again, Team USA, though, breaks 90 on a Lenny Kravitz medley, which also I also did kind of appreciate, too, as a kind of, classic rock, alt-rock fan. Team USA went with Lenny Kravitz. Japan, by the way, they did a very cool medley version of the Rolling Stones for their performance, though. And again, both Team USA and Japan crushed it, though, but we're going to give this, though, to Madison Chalk and to Evan Bates for, again, scoring 91.06 for their event. A world best for that in the rhythm dance event for the team for a figure skating team event, as they currently lead Japan at 25-23 and have a 3-point edge right now over Italy, who sits 1, 2, and 3 after just the first day of competition and 4 where things stand for the figure skating team events. Going away, though, folks, from the performance of the night to a check-in, though, with Team USA. We're going to be, once again, folks, revisiting Saturday, coming up tomorrow. Again, Ollie Martin of Wolcott, Colorado, is the lone American who moved on to the Big Air Final for snowboarding after a clutch 1,800 on the final run. Again, we talked at length a little bit, though, on Thursday, concerning, though, again, how 4 Americans made that event, though, but only 1 qualified. And we talked about as well how Sean Fitzsimons suffered that DNI or did not improve on his scoreline. But most importantly, coming out of this entire race day and practice day, Lindsey Vonn. Lindsey Vonn, who ripped her ACL a week ago today in the practice runs, clocked the 11th fastest time in the downhill training on Friday, 140.33 despite the ripped ACL. She also hit 75 miles per hour and danced to Usher at the starting gate, all in for Sunday, and even clap back at doctors on social media who even were going after her for still competing. I mean, what else are we supposed to do here? You know, I for one applaud Lindsey Vonn. I get it. She's 41. She's been gone for 6 years. It's this, it's that. I'm aware of that. This is her final, you know, this has got to be and probably is her, you know, her farewell tour. And I think regardless, I mean, she would have probably had to break her leg, honestly, or both of her legs to not compete in this event, though, for one last hurrah for one of the greatest American skiers of all time. Now, obviously, we have Michaela Schifrin also going in the event for Team USA. But, man, I don't quite understand, though. Why the scrutiny? I mean, you work your ass off to get there. I don't care if you're 17 years old, you're 31 going on 32 as I am, and Mayor, if you're 41 like Lindsey Vonn, you work your tail off to get there every 4 years. You come back after going on retirement, basically, and you suffer the injury a week before the games. And you're medically, you get medically cleared in a way, cortisone. She's got the brace on. But again, I know that they're actual doctors. But flapping your gums, though, on the web, what good does that do for yourself in a roundabout way? I mean, I was in a way a little bit floored, honestly, when I kind of saw what was going on when it came to Vonn's reaction to where things had been concerning, she should drop out, quit the charade, get it over with. No, I mean, if the mind is willing and the body can do it, you got to pull this off somehow. And again, we'll see, though, how Vonn does come Sunday. Again, 11th fastest time, though, 140.33. I would even say even on a good knee, she's probably still about a minute 30, if not a minute 20. So I would probably take that as a good benchmark in a way for Vonn. Can you build on this, though, come Sunday when it's time for the first, batch of heats, though, on the mountains and slopes up in the Cortina Mountains? So I think we are on Vonn watch. And I think I'm mainly watching it, though, for, mainly I'm looking at this, though. The medal, I think, though, obviously is going to be top priority. I would just love to see her get through the event and not further injure the knee, do something worse to the knee, what have you. But mainly, get through it, or more importantly, either you get through it, or if she medals, what a way to go out, though, if that does in fact happen. All right, folks, going around the rings here, a couple of updates. Again, we talked also at length late on Thursday concerning what has gone on, though, in women's ice hockey. We again had the Finnish national team postpone their game against Canada. We had the reports of between 13 to 15 players and staff members quarantined because of norovirus. PPE-clad cleaners are currently right now scouring the locker rooms around the arenas. It got worse, though, folks, on Friday. After their victory over Czechia, the Swiss are now stuck in isolation following their victory over Czechia on Friday, and now their Saturday game versus Canada is now officially under what they're calling a wait-and-watch advisory from the IIHF. We are also, folks, still in a way monitoring the USA-Finland game for 7:40 a.m. tomorrow morning on Saturday on the West Coast, 10:40 a.m. Central on USA. By all accounts, including a social post from Hillary Knight of Team USA, the game is on. So that would mean to me that Finland has reached the threshold of healthy players to fulfill the roster requirements for the game. But now we got this other domino falling with the Swiss national team. They played the game, and from what I had heard from Tessa Bonaho and also Julia Tachiri from the Jocks and Jills Women's Hockey Podcast, the test came back after the game was over, and they did not make it to the opening ceremony at San Siro in the mountain passes. So 2 days, officially 1 full day of competition, but now 2 days, including day 0 and day 1, and already 2 massive headlines out of women's hockey. And we are really hoping and praying for those athletes, though, who are battling that illness right now at this rate. And finally, folks, for the total atmosphere, again, we kind of said this a little bit, though, earlier at the top of the show, though, from opening ceremonies. Again, a mixture of raucous cheers for the Ukraines, raucous cheers for Team USA. But again, as we also heard, though, the smattering of boos for the Israeli national team, and also the spattering of boos for USA VP J.D. Vance and his wife during the opening ceremony. And I even told Nick Morgeson beforehand that, again, as you probably folks may have heard on Press Row last Thursday, that Nick and I were talking at length, though, about the very much idiotic questioning of from a freelance writer from Canada covering the tournament for the Australian Open last week or 2 weeks ago, and the questioning of the American tennis players from Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton to Amanda Anisimova to anyone out there for Team USA or playing for Team USA in the Aussie Open was met with, your thoughts as an athlete about what's going on back home. Same stuff has already happened per reports gathered from The Athletic and the New York Times, that now the alpine ski team and other American athletes have been asked the same thing. There's been a mixed bag of questions and answers, though. So Nick and I will talk more about that, though, on Thursday or on Wednesday next week back here on Press Row. So already kind of starting with that sort of nonsense. Again, not really surprised, though, about the cheers, though. Again, I was and I will admit it again, I was kind of wondering, though, largely in a way because what we had talked about on Press Row a couple of weeks ago about the view of the American athlete from the world's eyes in a way. And I was wondering a bit, would there be some kind of boos towards Team USA? Would there be some cheers, or would it be largely cheers, largely boos? What would it be? Overwhelming cheers from San Siro and in the mountains up in Cortina. Not at all surprised, again, by the cheers for the Ukraine. Maybe a little bit surprised, though, right now of the booing for the Israeli national team. Obviously, that's a whole different story regarding where that issue has gone right now. And, I mean, the booing of J.D. Vance, I don't care. I think it's very classless to do that. I don't care what side that you're leaning towards. I mean, I get it. I fully understand it. Just, whatever. I mean, it kind of is what it is right now. I'm not surprised. But I thought, though, overall, though, very good, though, for the Ukrainian cheers, the USA athlete cheers, of course, again, to kind of take the boost for Israel and for VP Vance with a grain of salt. There was kind of, again, one burning question I wanted to kind of get to again, which was, Cal, can Lindsey Vonn actually is Vonn actually going to medal on one leg? It is, though, a tall order, as I kind of said already earlier on in the block here. But I think, though, when you see the reaction after the training run with the ruptured ACL, that, again, is already a win for the narrative about Vonn's career. Again, 41 years old, and it goes taunting the platform, and I love every second of it. And I do. Again, love it for the fact, though, again, that she's out there proving people wrong. Yes, I got hurt a week ago. I should not be competing, yes, but I'm going to do whatever the hell it takes to get that damn knee of mine, put it in a brace, wrap it up, cortisone injections, ibuprofen, I don't care. This is my last hurrah to go and compete in these events, in my event, and I'm going to do it. Shut up, basically. I love the attitude. If the mind's willing, as I said, and the body can hold up long enough to get through it, 41 years old, 11 years old, 41 or 71, freaking go for it. I want to see Lindsey Vonn do well and hope that she will hold up as time goes on. We will see her compete on Sunday at this rate from the Cortina Mountain Passes for Team USA. With that in mind, folks, for a wrap-up shot for the evening here for our first full day, or the first full day of coverage, but also more importantly, for our second full day of coverage here on ETB, the major events to watch tomorrow from the bench on Saturday. It's the first day of medal rounds across the sports world over in the Olympic Games over in Milan-Cortina. The four events that we're going to keep an eye on here for our program gets started bright and early at 7:40 a.m. local time here on the West Coast, 10:40 Eastern. Team USA Women's Hockey faces Finland, fresh off of quarantine from the norovirus, at 7:40 a.m. on USA. That'll feature Kenny Albert and AJ Malesko. At 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, the men's big air snowboarding final. All eyes on Colorado's own Ollie Martin going for gold in the big air event tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. At 11 a.m., we get started with speed skating, the women's 3,000 meter on Erin Jackson and Team USA, Brittany Bowie as well. And also overnight tomorrow on Saturday at 12:55 a.m., the men's figure skating short program will get underway in about 2 hours. That will take place just in a couple of hours here on the West Coast with the men's figure skating short program. All eyes, by the way, Jordan Stolz is the guy to watch for Team USA coming up here in just a couple of hours over in Milan. With that, folks, a quick heads up. We will probably, we are not going to be able to be on, hopefully, we're trying to be on tomorrow sometime, probably late in the evening again, due to the fact I'll be at work, and then I'll also be coming home from a sporting event tomorrow evening with a couple of friends as well. So we are going to be aiming, hopefully, to come at you here right around the 11 o'clock Pacific time, maybe midnight time slot here on the West Coast, as we will lead you into day 3, officially day 2 of full competition. Kind of in a way, give you a bit of a briefer rundown of a recap of day number 1, officially now in the day number 2. But to reiterate once more for the events tomorrow that will be taking place coming up in about 2 hours time, again at 12:55 a.m. overnight. Men's figure skating short program. Look out for Jordan Stolz of Team USA. At 7:40 a.m. Pacific, USA women's hockey versus Finland. 10:30 a.m. Men's big air snowboarding finals. Again, Ollie Martin is our guy to watch for Team USA. And then 11 a.m. will be the women's 3,000 meter speed skating with eyes on Brittany Bowie and also on Erin Jackson for Team USA in those events for speed skating. Should be a fun day of action. We also, again, appreciate all of you for joining us once again for our 30-minute debrief of Olympics from the bench here on ETB. Over 110 people at near midnight here on the West Coast. Thank you all for joining us here. We would also, folks, like to remind you as well, again, that you can join us as well on Saturday and Sunday for a full slate of Super Bowl 60 coverage that will all begin tomorrow. And we'll continue on Saturday and through the course of Sunday and also after the game does conclude. We will, our next official show for sure will be on Sunday late in the evening following all of our Super Bowl 60 coverage back here on Empty the Bench, right back here following the Tom Albano, Ben Cruz-led postgame show after a lengthy day of coverage for ETB and getting through the Seahawks and Patriots as well from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. With that, though, folks, in mind, another great night and getting ready for another exciting day of competition from Milan-Cortina, going into the second full day after a phenomenal opening ceremony done at both San Siro Stadium and across the Cortina Olympic Mountain Range Village. To recap once more again today, Team USA walks in with 232 athletes of their delegation, led by speed skater Erin Jackson and bobsledder Sergeant Frank Del Duca as well. Team USA leading currently in the figure skating team event 25-23-22, thanks part to Madison Schock and Evan Bates's 91.06 in the rhythm dance, and Alyssa Liu in second place right now behind Japan's Kaori Sakamoto in first place, with Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea in fifth place to keep the USA's cushion intact over Japan and Italy. Team USA mixed doubles is now 4-0. They beat Canada 7-5 and beat Czechia 8-1. Great Britain is currently still unbeaten at 5-0 at this stage of the mixed curlings tournament. Again, shout out again to Madison Schock and Evan Bates for the performance of the night. Ollie Martin is our guy to watch tomorrow. And again, Lindsey Vonn, 41 years old, going to go for it on Sunday despite the ripped ACL. But again, the 11th fastest time in downhill today at 1:40 and 30.33 and hitting 75 miles per hour. Once again, Team USA versus Finland from women's hockey will be tomorrow. As per reports, Finland is healthy enough to play after the norovirus outbreak, but the Swiss have now been hit by that following their game with Czechia on Friday as well. But again, once more, your viewing guide for tomorrow, 7:40 a.m. Pacific time, USA, Finland, and women's hockey. 10:30 a.m. men's big air snowboarding finals, all eyes on Ollie Martin. 11 a.m. Pacific time, speed skating with the women's 3,000 meter program. And then coming up in just over an hour and change, men's figure skating short program. All eyes will be on Ilya Malinian for Team USA in the quad god himself. I may have misspoken, by the way. That's the men's figure skating short program. Will be at 12:55 a.m. Speed skating is coming up later over the weekend. With that, folks, we will again do our best to be here for you folks on Saturday, if not for sure on Sunday, to cap off a great day of Super Bowl coverage here on ETB, though. But with that in mind, though, folks, we'll see you back here over the weekend to welcome you into day 2 and day 3 of the Milan-Cortina Olympic, folks. Until next time, have a great rest of your day and a tremendous weekend. And this is Olympics from the Bench on ETB. Good night. Bye-bye.